There's something just a little bit unusual about this modest home located on the north side of Tacoma, Washington. Maybe it's the train switch embedded in the front lawn, or the baggage wagon out back, or the Union Station sign leaning against the fence. But once you meet the gentleman who lives here, these things may not seem so strange. You see, the railroad has been Jim Fredrickson's life. Jim worked as a dispatcher for the Northern Pacific Railroad for nearly 4 decades. He's also published 3 books of photographs he took and the stories he collected during that time.
Well, when I finished high school, I had already been working for the Northern Pacific for about 2 years as a call boy, first of all, and then I learned to telegraph. The division telegraph office was right next door to where the call boy's desk was. Every small town had a telegraph station where people could come down and send a Western Union telegram or ship out express. Another very important function of the telegraph operator was to copy train instructions from the dispatcher in Tacoma, write them down, and then deliver it to the trains as they went by.
Jim acquired his first camera and developing kit as a boy during the Depression. They were premiums he earned by selling the Saturday Evening Post. But what drew his love of photography and his love of trains together?
Well, steam engines were so impressive with the smoke pouring from the stack and the noise that they made, and then the rods and the valve gear, all of the motion that they had that you could see. And another thing about steam engines, every railroad designed its own, so that there was a lot of variety. Now the diesel engines are made by just a few manufacturers, and you find the same engines on most all railroads.
As both his home and his books illustrate, Jim Fredrickson has become a living repository of the stories of the men and women who were the backbone of the old Northern Pacific.
I worked at a station at the east portal of the Stampede Tunnel, a place called Martin. The day operator there was Charles McGurk, and he was a grizzled old bachelor veteran up there. And one thing I remember hearing him say was that the NP will never get any of them diesels. This was a year before the first diesel road engine showed up. Bill Dahlberg was really a master throttle artist. Whenever there was a special train like the President of the United States, notably Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1942, Bill Dahlberg would be pulled off of his normal run and put on the presidential special. This was a builder's plate off of a big Northern Pacific passenger engine, the 2609. This 2609 was the favorite engine of engineer Frank Scobie, one of our better engineers. And he told me that once on a troop train he thought he'd see just how fast that 2609 would go, because it was his favorite of NP's passenger engines, and he got it up to 110 miles an hour on a piece of straight track. And another favorite engineer of mine was Ed Foisey. He was our fastest runner. He'd make up more time than anybody else when the passenger train was late. He told me one time that the road foreman of engines had scolded him for going too fast. And he says, I told him, little Jimmy expects me to go that fast, and that's how fast I'm going to go.
And what does Jim put at the top of his list of memories?
Well, the North Coast Limited was our premier deluxe passenger train. Started in the year 1900, and by the time it was done, it had been a named train longer than any other in the country. It had outstanding dining car service featuring a great big baked potato that weighed at least 2 pounds. Much of the time it was run in 2 sections. One section with just day coaches, and the other section was Pullman sleeping cars with a very luxurious lounge car. And it was considered the showcase of the railroad. It gave travelers their impression of Northern Pacific, and we wanted that impression to be good, so the train was outstanding.
Jim Fredrickson has been all about railroads since his childhood and remains so in his golden years. It's not often we see someone's passion so obviously woven into the fabric of their life.
All aboard for the Northern Pacific.